What's happening, graphic designers? In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to design something for your clients that is not only very effective, but it's also cost efficient when it comes to printing. Now, the greatest part about today's episode is it has to do with sweets. Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 9 of Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp, where in every episode I design a new type of a layout based on fictitious brands that I designed in another series called Logo Design Bootcamp. So, episode number 9, we are at the letter I, which, if you recall from Logo Design Bootcamp, I designed a logo for Igloo Ices, which was a fictitious ice cream company. And today what we're going to be doing is I simplified that logo a little bit. I cleaned it up basically, and I designed a takeout menu for this logo, which is going to be more like a rack card. If you've ever heard of a rack card, it's a 4x9 card that companies or individuals, they usually will put, in a waiting room or on a desk for people to take and get more information. So this rack card is really like a menu they can kind of take out. It's like a takeout menu with prices and stuff, so they could always call back and make an order, or they can always know what they want to order before they get on the actual line. The greatest thing about this entire series is that if you click this button right here, you can download the file that I have designed without the purchased images or vectors. So you'll be able to follow along with me very easily while I speak and I show you my screencast and figure out exactly how to do this the way that I did. So what I want to do now is I want to critique this piece, and then I want to get into building it, and we're going to be utilizing Adobe Illustrator really quickly, and then it's 90% Adobe InDesign CS6. So let's jump into it. Okay, so this is the front panel of the takeout menu. It's very simple because the other side is where all the complex stuff is going to happen. But on this side, it's basically text boxes. You have your takeout menu on the top. There's a background. I'm going to show you how to do a step and repeat on the background. How to take an image, a vector in Illustrator, and get it into InDesign. And then we're going to do a transparency on it. I'm also going to show you how to take our logo and throw this nice, sweet white back on it in Illustrator first, then we're going to pull it into here. And then our text box is down here, and also how to make a rounded rectangle in InDesign. So let's go on to the other side of this piece. Now, this piece are going to be using vectors that I purchased from a stock website. So I'm going to be utilizing these in here. I'm going to be making these gradients for the bars separating the actual areas that, the different types of products that they offer. And I'm also going to show you tabs. I'm going to show you how to space things out accordingly. And also, when it really comes to pricing, so you want everything to line up. You don't want to be doing this stuff manually. You want to be able to hit tab, and basically this stuff just basically goes in and everything lines up, and it knows exactly how many dots to put. This would work good for any kind of a menu or a table of contents or a bulletin, stuff like that. So I'll also show you how to work with character styles over here, and then coming down here, basically all the same stuff. I really just copied all this stuff down and then replaced it with the appropriate information. So without further ado, let's jump in and start building this thing. Okay, so now we're in Adobe Illustrator CS6, and the first thing we want to do is we want to take our logo and create it into something like this, where the logo is a knockout of white, but white is not only like a stroke around the entire logo, but it also fills the logo on the inside. So if I pull this logo over here on top of this black, you're going to notice that it doesn't do either of those things, and it looks pretty complex. You might be thinking, yeah, let's take the pen tool and draw a whole thing around it. You don't have to do that in this case. What we're going to do first is we're going to select all this and go to Command G, or Object Group. Group the selection. We're going to fill it with like a dark brown for now, and I'm now going to copy this, and I'm going to go to Edit, Paste in Back, or Command B. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with white, and I'm going to now go to Object, Path, Offset Path. And this is without clicking off yet, because basically the one that I copied behind it is the one that's going to be offsetting. Now you're going to want to hit Preview. Basically, you're going to see as the offset gets bigger and smaller, it starts to create this around the entire piece. Now, this is a little bit too much. So I'm at 1.125. I'm going to do 0.09 and see how I like that. I like it, so I'm going to hit OK. Now, if I zoom in, let's see, there's a few things I could do. The first thing I'm going to do is while everything is still selected, I'm going to come into my Pathfinder and hit Unite. And it's going to basically I'm going to move the brown off of this. You're going to see what happens. It's basically, this is what it created. So I'm now going to, while I have the brown selected, I'm going to go to Object, Lock Selection, or Command 2. And now with A on my keyboard, I'm going to select these areas that are black in here. And I'm just going to start to delete. See something. Actually, you know what? You can just select all these. Can you? No, you gotta select them one at a time. Start messing around with everything. So this ensures that we have this nice white area, and it created a nice white stroke around the entire piece. Speed through this real quick. Okay, so the only one thing I want to fix on here, you notice as you go around, everything's cool except for when you come over here. So I'm just going to zoom into this area, and it's a couple of points. So I'm just going to hit the minus sign on my keyboard or come into here, delete anchor point tool, and I'm going to start to delete these points. So it opens up and it pretty much meets up the way that I want it to meet up. You can now go hit Shift C, or right in here, convert anchor point tool, and you can click that point and you can unwind it, make it a little bit more flowing. Same thing with this point right here. So now it's a little bit more rounded, a little bit more nicer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to delete everything else, and I'm going to select this Igloo Ices logo. I'm going to hit Command G to group it, and I'm now going to hit Command C because we're going to come back to this. We're going to use this in a minute. Now what you want to do is you want to come into InDesign and you want to go to File, New, Document. And you want to make a 4:9 document, which is the size of our little takeout menu / rack card. And we're going to make our margins, let's just say 1/8 of an inch. And we're going to make our bleed 0.125 all around because we're going to add the bleed at the end. And uncheck facing pages for now, and excuse me, hit number of pages is going to be 2. So we're now going to hit OK. The red area to the outside is our bleed. The inside purple area, this line right here, is our margin. You really don't want to design past there because there's a possibility when they cut the bleeds, it could get close to that text or even cut the text off. So you do not ever want to have that happen. So what we're now going to do is, and I'm going to come into Window Workspace. I'm going to make sure my workspace is on because there's certain tools I like in certain places. That's another cool thing. If you have your workspace, you can save it as, you know, if you want your tools on the left side and you know, some special way. Pretty cool thing to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to come into our layers palette and create a new layer. We're going to rename layer 1 background, and we're going to hit OK. We're going to design on the background now this blue with the dots and the, you know, the border around. So the way we do that is we're going to come into our rectangle tool and we're going to make a rectangle and make it the size of the document. And we're going to make sure there's no stroke on there by coming to our stroke and hitting the apply none to it. Basically takes it out. And I'm now going to take my eyedropper after I click on the fill, and I'm going to just go into a blue. I'm going to select the blue from my old document. Just find any kind of a light blue or use whatever colors you would like for this tutorial. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come into our, actually, excuse me. After you select this blue, come into your color and make sure you go to add to swatches, okay? So if you add it to swatches, it's going to be at the bottom of your swatches for you to use later. Let me come into my old document real quick because I have to save this other blue as a swatch. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to come into the ellipse tool, make a small ellipse somewhere near the top right corner. Actually going to zoom in. And once I get this ellipse, the size and the color I want, I'm going to move on. But first make that ellipse, and I'm going to fill it with one of those blues, the darker blue that stands out a little bit more. You see how there's a little bit of a differentiation right there? We're now going to click this, and we're going to go to Edit, Step, and Repeat. Now, what this is going to do is this is basically going to make a grid in the background. But you have to check Preview first, and you have to check Create as Grid to do the rows and the columns. The rows are how many times the dot is going to go down. So if you see, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I already have the 5th thing right here. You don't want that. So what you want to do is you want to change your offset. Let's change that to 0.25 for now and see what happens. Perfect. Exactly where I wanted it. So we're going to make enough rows that go all the way down to the bottom. You hear me clicking right now. Boom, boom, boom. It's about 36 rows. And now I'm going to also change the horizontal to 0.25. And I'm going to start adding columns. So let's see how many that goes to. All right, I made too many. This always happens. I click too many times. And then you got to wait for it to load. So let's see. Okay, so we're talking about 36 by 16 columns. Now we're going to hit OK. Now we have our cool background, little pattern right there. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come back into that rectangle. We're going to make another rectangle that goes around this whole piece. And you can definitely center this by clicking this little center point, the reference point right here, and making sure your X is at 2, which is going to be half of 4, which is the width, by 4.5, which is going to be half of 9, which is the height. So to make sure that is straight up in the middle. And I'm going to now change this stroke to a brown. I want to do that. I want to change it to a brown that I used in my old document. But first, what I have to do is I have to select this brown, I have to add it to my swatches, and now come back into the stroke on the left over here, and come into my stroke, change it to that brown, and right now I'm going to make this stroke, let's see, 2, 3, 4 points. And now this is pretty cool. Watch this. You're going to click on the stroke, and you're going to see this yellow box. You're going to double click it, and now without holding anything on the keyboard, you're just going to click the yellow and you're going to pull it to the left. And you're going to see it's as you go, it's going to make these corners just like so. And you're going to do that and then let go. And that just created our little border right there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a rectangle like so, and we're going to fill it with that brown. So let's come into here, and I'm just going to flip it from the stroke to the fill. And that's going to have my reference to the right because I'm just going to, obviously look at that the whole time. And I'm now going to go to Command C and Command F. It doesn't work in InDesign, excuse me. Paste in place. Okay, I wanted to paste it in front. I wish they were all the same commands and everything, but what it is. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to sample my other. Basically, I took a lighter brown to go on top of here just to kind of like break it apart from there. Now, what I'd like to do is I'm going to take this entire selection. All right, just double checking. I did that, so double check that it's on the background layer, and I'm gonna now. Well, actually, I gotta take this stuff off the background layer. I'm gonna pull this all up here. I'm gonna lock my background layer by clicking the little lock next to the eyeball, and now I cannot mess with anything on here, which is pretty cool because it's now a layer system. I'm going to take my logo, which I copied from Illustrator earlier, but I'm going to copy it right from here. I'm just going to paste it, and I'm going to put it on top. Now, if I zoom in, I purposely made sure this brown matched this brown exactly. And like I said, I purposely did that because it makes it look like it has a nice flow, that it's breaking out. It looks like the white is breaking out of this brown, and then the brown is then again breaking out of the white. Knocking out the actual information of the logo. So it's a pretty cool little effect there. You're now going to come into your text box, and what I like to do sometimes is I just create a text box from left to right, and I'm going to type out the word take out menu. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to use the font that I used in the original logo. It's called Hofler Text. I'm going to do actually I'm going to do black. I'm going to make sure it's centered by hitting align center in your paragraph options. I'm just going to now take my point size, and I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Clicking, and I'm going to hit escape to get out of that selection. Very important, always with text, always hit escape to get out of the selection. And now I'm going to double click this to select all the text, and I'm going to come to character. no, excuse me, not character. I'm going to come into my swatches, come all the way down here and pick that dark brown. I'm going to hit escape to now get out of that selection. And yes, I'm very happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to option click shift this over because it's just a text box. It's the same thing. We're basically just aligning everything through the center and then selecting this at one point and making it bold. Now the one thing I would do with this is, you see how there's more spacing above and there's less spacing below? We're going to just select this line of text, the number, and we're going to come up into our, let me come into my character palette over here, and I'm going to change my leading. I'm going to lower my leading. And because I just selected that one line, I'm basically saying I just want the leading to shrink above the line that I have selected. So that's very important for you to know. I don't know why I just tried to save that. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into Illustrator, and I'm going to I have a couple of documents open. Let's find the one I want. I'm going to come over here, and these are some vectors that I purchased, really, really nice vectors that I purchased for this tutorial, which I would, I can't, to illustrate something like this, it would, take a week for me to do something like this. And I just don't have the time for that, and no client's going to pay for that. So, and they shouldn't, you shouldn't even waste your time when there's great stock vector and stock photography on the internet that you can purchase. So I purchased this for this tutorial, and I'm going to now click this ice cream cone right here. I'm going to go to Command C. I'm now going to jump back into InDesign. I'm going to go to Command V just to paste it. And always make sure you're transforming it. If you say you clicked off of this for a second, when you click back, you want to hit E on your keyboard to transform it. And now we're going to enlarge it just like so. And I'm now going to, let's see what we're going to do. We're going to go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. All right. And now I'm going to come into the Effects palette, and we're going to take the opacity. I think I took it down to 30% my original. 36, that's cool. Somewhere around there. And it's right behind the Igloo Ices logo, and that looks pretty much like what I did. Actually, to be honest with you, if you move this logo, watch, we move this logo, it's behind the band right here. So all I'd have to do there is I'd have to go into our background. I'd have to click the ice cream cone. I'd have to come here to our layers, pull it to the background layer, because now it's a part of the background, and now I am able to put it behind that band by taking the band, one, holding Shift, two, because there's two bands right there, going to Object, Arrange, bring to front. Because if I said send to back, watch what's going to happen to this. Arrange, send to back. See you later. All right, it went behind the blue now. So I just backed up, Command Z to get back to where we were. I'm going to lock the background. I'm going to bring our ices back in here. And that is the front of the menu. Now the first thing I need to do with the second side is I need to unlock the background, and I'm going to lock the foreground. So I can just take this all up here, and I'm going to go to Option, click, Shift the background down here. I'm basically copying it. Okay, and I know, yes, we can do this with master pages in InDesign, and but I didn't do it that way. So because it's only two, it's only a front and a back. It's not like it's a whole booklet or anything. So basically, I'm going to now resume back in here, and I'm going to delete a couple of things off this background. 1, 2, and 3. I'm now going to relock the background because I do not want to accidentally move something. We're now going to come up into our type tool. We're going to type out on layer 2, which is the top layer, or whatever you want to name it, Italian Ices. And we're going to hit escape. We're now going to find our font that we did for the front and make it maybe about like 20 points, something like that. And I'm going to now come back into my swatches. Let's see, my swatches that I saved. And I'm going to find the brown that I have been using, which is right here. Oops, got to select the text. Perfect. Okay, so now I have my Italian Ices. I'm now going to zoom in And what I decided to do was I took a line, and I kind of wanted to make this kind of like a little, like an icon underneath each one is kind of going to be like its own icon. So I made a stroke, and the stroke I'm going to put a little bit of a lighter brown. Now you can do this in a couple of ways. You can, say you had, the text sampled, that dark brown. You can come into the color now, and you can either make it a percentage of that color, which is, let's see how that looks in this case. Take a percentage of that color. That might just look good enough. Okay, that looks good enough for what we're trying to do. And then we'll do those boxes all the way at the end. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do something really fun. We're going to work with tabs for the first time in this series. And the way that we're going to do this is we're basically going to create a text box that is that basically kind of goes from right to left. We're going to type in first, starting with some of the flavors, berry, blast, and I'm going to now select A, Command A on the keyboard, and I'm going to find I'm going to make it a font that I want it to be. I'm going to make it Myriad Pro Italics, and I want to now make it, let's see, I'm going to make it 10 points. I'm going to come in here, find my light brown that I was using. I believe that's it. And now I'm going to come into my character palette. I'm going to create character styles, excuse me. And I'm going to go to create new style. And I'm going to, let's see, which one was that? I'm going to rename this style, I guess flavors, or actually descriptions. Descriptions with an S. I'm now going to move this over a little bit, and I'm going to start writing in these flavors. Let me speed through this first column real quick. Okay, so now that I have the first column done, normally what you might do is, if you're doing a couple quick prices, you might start hitting the space bar, or you might start hitting the tab. So what you want to do first is you want to now come to, let's see, it's going to be shift command, nope, it's going to be option command and then the letter I. That should be hide hidden characters. That's what you want to get. You basically want to see, you're going to see some things happening after here. This is basically what you're going to see. Now, if after the word blast at the end of the T you hit tab, you're going to see a little icon like this. You want to tab after each 1, 4, and 5. And I can always, again, go to Option, Command, I to take those off. But I just kind of show you what's behind the scenes type of a thing. And basically, what we're going to do now is we're going to start typing out our next columns. So LATE. And right now, they're probably not going to, are they going to align? Yeah, they probably will, because I was just working on this. Yep. All right. I'm going to show you what it normally would look like in a second. Actually, I got to create one more. I'm just going to do this as test and then test. And you'll see why I'm doing test in a second. All right. So across from bubble gum is going to be lemonade. And then mango, and then orange. Okay, so basically after each one of these first flavors, there is a tab, and then there is another set of flavors. What we're now going to do is we're going to go to Shift Command T. Yeah, we go. Okay, and we got tabs. You can also find that under Type Tabs right there. The tabs bar is going to come right above your text box, as long as you had your text box clipped, clicked on already. Sometimes it might come over here like this, but this is just for reference. You can always hit this little magnet right here, and it's going to, shoot it right back to the top. So what we're now going to do is we're going to click on the top, and it's basically because we put our tabs in certain places, it knows the tabs are right before these elements. So if you click this little arrow up here, you can actually determine where you want this to be. You have different alignment options right here. You can have everything right justified with the tab as you come out more. But right now, I don't like the way that looks at all. So we're going to have them left justified. I'm going to put them right here. And I'm now going to, again, come into the chocolate one. And I have to now add another set of columns, another set of flavors. So let me speed through this real quick. Okay, so now we're back in here. We're going to again go to Shift Command T to pull up that tabs area, and we're now going to click here for the tabs to basically on the top, and we're going to determine where this line of tabs are going to be. You can always come in here and move these later, and I'm going to show you why in a minute why I'm making these ones called tests, but for right now I'm just going to click out of here, and I'm going to add a couple of more things. I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add two little text boxes that basically say the size. So I'm just going to come into my old document and I'm going to just take these text boxes. I actually did these really quick, these ones. I just wanted them to be very simple. So they're just all separate text boxes actually. I'm now going to go to Option Click. I'm going to shift these over. And I'm going to now go to Object Arrange, Bring to Front. And I actually copy those circles in the back over, which is what I didn't want to do. So I'm going to hit each element and go to Command L, lock them, 1, 2, 3, 4, lock, and I'm going to take these circles, these extra ones, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and delete. The way you unlock is by going to Object, Unlock All on Spread, or Shift Command, or Option Command L, I believe. Let's move these around to our liking. Make sure they're on the first layer. All right, cool. Let's see what I want to do next. I'm going to come back into Illustrator now, and I'm going to grab this picture of the ice cream right here, and I'm going to jump back into InDesign. I'm just going to go to Paste, and I'm going to size this, accordingly to how I want it to kind of fit in the area. I also want it to go off the edge. That's cool. But originally, the reason I didn't have one up here is I took that test out was because the way the ice cream kind of fell, it was jumping into my text. So I'm going to take test out anyway. And you see nothing else is going to shift around because we did our tabs already. The cool thing is when we come into our Sunday thing, and I'm just going to copy this over, my Sunday that I wanted to, kind of go and have it rag around the text. Well, if I move this over, I can now take these two tests. I can take tests, I could delete, and I can take this test and delete. And now, nothing messed up. None of my tabs got screwed up there. So it's pretty cool now. I can have my Sunday just hanging out in this area right here, which leads us into our next area. We're going to go to Option Click, shift this down, and we're going to type in the word Sundays. We're going to do a lot of the same stuff. Well, yeah, similar stuff for the tabs, but we're going to have it's going to be a little bit different in this area. In this area, and again, this is how I work efficiently. Just Option Click Shift, and then we're going to type out, we're going to hit Escape. Now we're going to make that text box a little bit bigger. I mean, I usually build this stuff in Illustrator, especially, I would probably normally have built this in Illustrator if it wasn't pricing stuff like this. Then I would do it in InDesign. But I like Illustrator, it's a lot quicker for me. But let's jump down here. Fix that. And make it regular. All right, cool. The first thing we're going to do is the very first thing, we're going to move this out of the way because we don't want this in our way right now. I just realized. I'm going to make a text box from left to right. And I'm going to type in the word ice. Ice cream sundae. And I'm now going to hit enter. I'm going to hit vanilla ice cream. Don't worry about my punctuation for right now. That's all the refining stuff at the end. favorite topping and whipped cream. Okay, now we're gonna hit escape. Now what I want to do is I want to style this line and style this line, and then I'll before doing anything else. So basically I'm gonna take ice cream sundae and I'm going to make it the font Myriad. I'm gonna make it regular, and let's see, what did I do here? 12 point is fine with me. All right, this I'm gonna do 8, 9. Okay, so what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to make sure it's a darker brown. So I'm going to come into my swatches and find the one that I know I've been using. Damn, I have a lot of swatches in here. That's my lighter one. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to select this right here and flip it. Okay. I have a darker brown right here, and I'm now going to take vanilla ice cream. I'm going to make it 9 points. I'm going to make it Myriad regular. Actually, Myriad italics, excuse me. And I'm going to make sure my leading is 9 because I want everything to be close to the actual product name. I want the description to be close to the product name because then you're going to have to change this all later, and you don't want to have to do that later. So what we're now going to do is we're going to fill this with our other color, which was that lighter brown. And now we're going to select Ice Cream Sundae. We're going to come into our character styles. And we're going to create a new style, and we're going to rename it so we don't forget it. We're going to name it heading or product heading. And we're going to now hit OK. And we're now going to double click the description, and we're going to make another character style, double click, and change it to product description. We're going to now hit OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to, well, actually, all right. Well, technically, I want to show you what would happen, but I'm going to type in hot fudge sundae. And then I'm going to type in, well, technically I can show you this. I'm going to double click that. I'm going to come into our product heading. I'm just going to hit the character style, and it's going to make it our style right there. See, if I basically copy all this stuff over, it's going to, it's going to be it already because it's already that style. Actually, no, it's not. The color's a little bit different. So you know what? Let me take this real quick. Take all this stuff. I don't want any of the pricing in here yet. I'll show you that next. Just to fill in our area. All right. So ideally, what you would want to do is you'd want to come into here and you'd want to change each to product heading, which it is the same. So we're going to make sure these are all product heading. Same thing here. And then product description. We're going to change that. Here we go. You see how everything's changing every time I click it. There it goes. So, okay, I guess last time I did the product description smaller, which is okay. As long as this one doesn't go to 3 lines, which it does. Okay, I didn't want it to, but always open that up. All right, you know what? I'm just going to fudge this right here and take that 3rd line off because I don't want it. I could always, obviously, make my text smaller. I just typed that banana wrong right there. Okay, cool. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to hit Tab, just like before, and we're going to type out $5. And I realize I left everything $5, but that's okay. I'm going to basically copy and paste this after each line. That's what I wanted. All right, so it still has the styling that I did before, but that's okay. We'll fix that in a second. Come in here, open this up. Okay. We're going to hit Shift-Command-T again to bring up our tabs, and I'm going to click my text box and then hit this magnet again to go right down to the top of it. It's basically because it shows me this right above it. It's very helpful. I'm now going to pull that out because I don't want it anymore. I'm going to do it from scratch again as if it looks like this. And I'm going to click here, And I'm basically going to pull this over. And in this case, I'm actually going to have it right aligned, right justified, because I want it looks nicer a lot of times when prices are right justified. And now what you're going to do is you're going to come into the leader and you're going to type a period in there. And watch what happens. It makes whatever you put in there. If I put a pound sign in there, watch what would happen. Pretty cool, right? So we're going to come back and leave that period in there. And now, basically, we quickly did that. And what I could do now is I can move my sundae back in here. And I can come into ice cream. And I could space this in. And you see how my dots are disappearing. It's a very, very cool thing to do. Okay, we're going to have to do that right there. That's okay if it goes a little bit over. I could always take this one line and come into my character palette and coming to my my tracking, and go to like -25, and you could fudge stuff like that. And it still looks fine. Hey, speaking of fudge, hot fudge. We're gonna move hot fudge sundae over like we just did. I'm actually gonna take this up here, this illustration. I'm gonna scale it down a little bit and fudge it, just like I said. And I'm going to now go to Option, click Shift. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to take Italian Ices and this line. 1, 2, Option, click Shift it down. I'm going to type out ice cream. Hit Escape. I'm now going to select this line. I'm going to move it in just a little bit. And very simply, just like before, I'm actually going to copy these over because these are ridiculously simple. They're all text boxes right here. I'm going to send that to the front. Same thing with this cone. I'm going to copy it over here and kind of move it around to where it needs to be. I mean, by this point in the tutorial, text boxes should be, you should be kicking ass at text boxes by now. So what I want to do next is, let me do by the scoop. I'm going to do this similar thing with down here. Basically, actually, what I did with over here is I took this and I just copied it down here. Now I actually got to select this all, and I never made this a style, so I have to manually do it italics. But say I did right here. I'm going to do a product style. Oh, actually, it is descriptions. Excuse me. I'm going to come into my style. I'm gonna. It is okay. Something happened there. What happened there? Come off. Okay, I'm just going crazy. I'm going to take this whole piece. I'm going to go to Option, click, Shift it down. And basically, I would just fill everything in just like I did over here. And I'm going to delete this. I'm going to copy all this stuff over. And I'm just going to kind of go into it and show you, just like with the tabs, just as I was doing before. This tutorial, I'm mainly focusing on tabs, but there's obviously a lot of other stuff you're learning. But as you can see, you see my downward arrow pointing right here, and it's so ironic that everything's lining up here, isn't it? That's because when you pull that over, you're going to see everything start to move. Now, you can do an x-axis. Say I do 9.5 here or 0.95. I can come over here to this arrow, and I can make sure that arrow is 0.19, which is double. What the heck happened there? Okay, it's not going to be because some of the words are too long. So you know what? It's okay to eye this stuff up. I mean, I eye so much stuff up nowadays, and after a while, you're able to just, notice that this is the same amount of space pretty much as right here. Because you're spending all this time trying to make it 100% perfect, especially before the client even approves it, then that's a waste of time. Once they approve it, then you can get in and refine it a little bit. So same thing with toppings. It's basically the same stuff. And in here, if I click this, you're now going to see, watch. Let's click this again. You see how it went from those tabs, and then the tabs just changed up here. You have 1, 2, and then another 3. I can even move this over to space it out just a little bit more. And the next thing, I'm just going to click this over right here. So wondering why that was behind it. There we go. I'm going to click this over to our smoothies area. I'm going to take ice cream and the line. I'm going to copy it down to where I want it to be. I'm going to move it over, type out the word smoothies, hit escape, nudge it over just a little bit, make my line right there. And same thing like before, the small and large. I'm just going to 1, 2, 3, and 4. Option click, shift it over. So you're learning a lot about how to copy things, definitely. And then same down here. I'm just going to copy this over because we've been doing this whole tutorial. If I go to Shift Command T again, the tabs, again, you have the tab basically. And yes, you'll get to a point where you see my text box ends here. So that, you got to make sure this is, you got to figure this out pretty good, because then you're going to have a bad time. Once that word, the A on the margarita, hits the end, it's going right to the next line. So let's see. We're now going to go to Option, Arrange, Object Arrange, Bring to Front to get it over that line, which it's not doing. Why is that? Why is that? Because it's on the background layer. You have to click this little icon right here and pull it to the front, and now we're able to do that. The very last thing I want to do for this whole piece is I want to save it for print, because this is obviously going to be something that is printed. So I'm going to delete all this extra stuff that I don't need to look at anymore. Get out of my way. Okay, and now we're going to go to Shift semicolon to turn our guides back on. And we're going to lock layer 2 for a second. We'll come back to it later. I'm going to take my background and I'm just going to pull out the blue till it goes off to the edge. I'm going to take this and this. I'm going to, while holding, if you hold Option, it's going to go out like this. If I let go Option, it just goes to the one side. So I'm holding Option. I'm going to go out. I want everything to go past the actual artboard into the area of the bleed, because then when it is cut, it is going to be perfect. So I'm going to turn off my top layer. I'm just going to now lock my bottom layer. I'm going to pull this over, and you can see obviously I lost my line under here. I can do this. Actually, get my line right back. Those are the things you would notice when you're refining. Like, oh, I just, what happened to my line type of thing. Right here, I'm going to shift this over. Same thing here. 3, and then the last one right here. I now need to take this actually and go to Object Arrange, Bring to Front, so it goes over that bar. And we're now going to go to, let's see something real quick. We're going to Command A. We're going to unlock our background, Command A, everything. We're going to go to Type, Create Outlines. And I'm going to do this up here too. Type, Create Outlines. Now I'm going to save this file by going to File, and you can set presets if you have certain things that you'd like to do on here. Basically, I'm going to make this a high quality print. I'm going to name it Menu. I'm going to save it to my desktop, and I'm going to come into my marks and bleeds. I'm going to make just crop marks. This is just what I do. I've been in printing for a long time, so I just need to see the crop marks. And I'm going to make sure my bleed is 0.125 all around and hit export. Let's see, is that going to automatically open? No, it is not. I'm going to open my PDF, and now we see a PDF that has crop marks. Everything looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Everything looks right. All my bleeds are there. And that is how you make the Igloo Ices takeout menu. All right, so thanks for joining us for episode number 9 of Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp. If you have any ideas for the future episodes with the brands that I have already, let me know in the comments below, or also what you thought of this video, what you learned in this video. Let me know how helpful it was to you. And like this video and share it out on your social networks. Totally appreciate it if you do that. Subscribe by hitting the button right here. Here are a couple of other videos from the series so far, and I want you to take the challenge. I want you to take the files that I provided to you and create something else for this brand that is either another type of menu, a different size, or any kind of an advertisement, just so I can pump it out to the social networks that I have, and so other people can see the way that other artists do things. So I've gotten a couple inquiries and entries so far, but I like to get a lot more, just, because it's very helpful when you see, like I said, artists with all different minds that are doing the same concept in totally different ways. So I'll see you next week for episode number 10 of Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp. My name is Steve Looney, and I will see you then. Have a great night. Peace.